I can recall 3 specific times when I watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. First time was 2013 probably. I was 13 and living with my family. Whenever we'd watch movies, it'd be in the living room and we would rewatch them for a solid week. Sometime within this rotation in 2013, we watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. My dad enjoyed it, so by proxy, I kinda liked it. Something we both appreciated was the soundtrack. After my first watch, I couldn't get Far Away by Junip out of my ever-growing library of music. Some primal instincts kicked in when I watched Ben Stiller's stunt double go zoom zoom down Big Hill. I think part of the reason why I got really into this scene was because years prior, I got into the ripstick. It was this wiggler board that everyone thought was really cool, definitely. And now, I love longboarding, so it's probably some deep-seated connection to Ben Stiller's 2013 film starring Ben Stiller, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It makes a big difference that on the iPod I was listening through all that music, I had just played through and beaten Bastion on there, which had a similar dreamlike quality to some of the tracks. It was pretty cool. It's a very, very cool game, and it kind of all meshes together, informing like how my taste in music has changed over time. Also, Jack Johnson cover of the Pina Colada song, because Jack Johnson was my equivalent of headbanger heavy metal because I went nuts for this shit. 2013 Josh hot take incoming. Jack Johnson's cover of the Pina Colada song is better than the original. I don't make the rules, I'm just always right no matter when I even had the opinion. Sorry. Don't make the rules. But that's the extent of my first watch. Just a couple scenes and some music that stuck in my head. The second time was 7 years later in 2020. I came to my childhood home to wait out quarantine, and there was this one occasion where online school was put on complete hold because of an internet outage. So, without the modern conveniences of our internet router, we started watching old DVDs. And this second watch of this film made me love it. And bear in mind, this was the renaissance of my taste in everything. This is when I first played The Messenger, when I first watched A Silent Voice, when I first watched The Midnight Gospel. During this era of my channel where I was making videos about all these favorite things that I was watching, there was a Walter Mitty script that was in the works because of just how much I enjoyed this film. At some point, I lost the energy to write the script because I was trying to harshly judge this movie where, in reality, there was too much personal investment in it for me to really be able to do that. I was trying to be a hardcore film critic and tried to be all like, oh, this movie's terrible, and that's just not true. I really enjoyed it, and every fiber of my being was trying to tell me like, Josh, this scene where there's the Benjamin Buttons is bad. It's terrible. It's scary. It's not a good scene, but I think it's funny. I think it's weird, and I think it's funny. I really don't like it though. As a kid, I couldn't get it out of my head. When I first watched it, brain didn't like it very much, and it stuck in my head. Point still stands. Now on to my third and most recent watch of this movie, July 2022. The reason why I'm making this video now, I can say that this is one of my favorite movies, and I can finally see why my dad liked it so much on his first watch. Recently, I discovered that if I'm having kind of a bad day, I'm going through the dumps, I'm letting my anxiety get the best of me, a way that I can help that and help work through that is watching familiar movies. In this particular instance, I decided to watch a movie that I'm making a video about. If you can guess what that movie is, I'll give you $5. On my third watch, I found a deeply original, over-the-top character piece. It's an adventure that pushes our protagonist from his life of unhappy modernity into places he couldn't even imagine. Places that, on the surface, seem kind of underwhelming in terms of a full-on adventure movie, but the presentation of these various landscapes makes every location appear fantastical. We spend a lot of time in Walter's colorless office space, especially at the beginning of the movie. This space is very finite in its visual appearance. The camera work focuses on closer camera shots with a couple extra wider shots to really let you see the small nature of the space. Establishing this bland place really does make everything outside seems so much more interesting. The absolute huge scale and insane contrasting colors of the locations he visits makes places like Iceland and the Himalayas look like something out of a fantasy film, which is important because our main character is taking huge leaps into the unknown, and we need to be able to feel that too. An important note about our main character is that he stays pretty uncomplicated. He's a simple character from start to finish of his entire character arc. At the start of the movie, he daydreams a lot because he wants to be living his life much more to a fuller extent. And at the end of the movie, he daydreams less because he's living life similarly to how he's always imagined. I say similarly because some of the daydreams are weird and could never actually happen in real life. But we root for this character because He just wants to live. All he wants to do is get out there. His character inspires us to step out of our comfort zones and stay alive, not to daydream too much when there's a whole world out there to experience. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a great character piece, not because of the expressiveness of our protagonist, but the details the movie implores us to fill in from our own lives. Every time I've watched Walter Mitty, I've enjoyed it more and more because I've learned about how I want my life to be. I've realized how everybody's journeys through life and learning what they want changes. And as time goes on, the older I'm gonna get, that's gonna change even more. Like our idea of life and our idea of what we want it to look like is gonna continue to change. And I feel like the more I watch this movie, the more I'm going to appreciate it. As a last note, if I ever decide to make a movie, I can guarantee it's gonna look something like Walter Mitty. There will be some striking visuals, a sort of just go with it idea and see what happens mentality that'll most certainly lead to a weird good but not too good movie. There'll be a library of amazing songs to make my just okay scenes seem way more interesting. And of course, some overall message that has no right to have worked as well because of my dummy head brain, but it still works and it's still incredibly endearing. Anyway, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, everybody.